The following podcast is scheduled for one fall. I'm your reigning, defending, undisputed host, Sexy Thor, and welcome to episode 12 of The Ring of Thunder. Before I get into the recaps, I just want to mention with respect that this past week, former WWE superstar Shad Gaspard passed away after he made sure lifeguards rescued his son after they went swimming in Venice Beach. Everyone he worked with and came into contact with in the wrestling world all know him as a wonderful human being and a terrific father, and will be very much missed. Also, Hana Kimura, a wrestler with the Japanese wrestling company show Stardom, passed away on Saturday, and the cause of death has not been released, and it would be distasteful to report it as absolute fact right now. The facts so far so go as she was on this reality show in Japan, and something happened where a set of ring gear of hers got accidentally washed, and the way the show was cut made it seem like the situation blew up bigger than it was, and Kimura got all sorts of nasty messages on social media, which led her to posting a lot of worrying messages before this tragedy happened to this 22-year-old. 22, man. This is why I try to fuck with social media as little as possible. I either see some bullshit on there that bumps me out or pisses me off, or I'm just bummed out that I wasted a little chunk of my life scrolling through nonsense. There's just never been a situation where my mental health improved when I got on social media. I mean, Instagram is probably the least pain in the ass for me, but it's just the mercy of pictures, and it's once in a blue moon I see something there that aggravates me. This is already a difficult enough year, and we gotta do what we can, not only to protect our health from coronavirus, but we gotta protect our mental health now more than ever. If you gotta unplug from internet or people for a while, go for it. If you need to reach out to someone, go for it. Exercise, meditate, read, video games, your favorite movie, whatever healthy outlet you need, for fuck's sake, just do it. When I talk about what all I did in the middle of 2018 and just almost constantly put it over, I'm not saying I think I'm hot shit because I started a podcast. I'm saying I finally took some necessary steps and risks I needed to turn my life around and protect my mental, emotional well-being, because most of my 20s were squandered in an almost constant cycle of 2 jobs and going to 2 bars over and over and over and over and over, and I was running on autopilot and hating myself for it, and I sent all that packing in 2018 like I found out S.H.I.E.L.D. was Hydra. Now I've got a better sense of stability and actually exercising regularly. Who would have thunk that shit would have happened? With the confidence that I can start new things that can work out, with pro wrestling basically being my religion pretty much. I mean, I'm not saying that this will work for you. Everybody's different, of course. I'm just saying what worked for me, and, just trying to give ideas. My word is obviously not gospel, but just putting in my own experiences in there. And sometimes protecting our well-being is easy and simple, and sometimes it's scary and uncomfortable as fuck, and it'll feel like work at first, and then you hopefully just get in a groove, but it's well worth it. But I mean, like I said, everybody's experiences are different, but I just hope everybody finds their way to, protecting themselves and helping themselves be okay. But anyway, pep talk over. Let me tell you about the past week. Raw continues where we left off, with Randy Orton saying Edge is afraid, and that's why he didn't respond to his challenge last week. Then Edge came out and gave a great speech about his passion versus Randy phoning it in, using his talent to get by, which, like Edge said a couple months ago, Randy's talent that he uses just to get by is enough for a Hall of Fame career. Randy cut him off and just wanted to know what his answer was, and Edge very much accepted. Seth Rollins came out with Murphy to share his quote-unquote revelation and tried to justify what he did to Rey Mysterio, and addressed Mysterio through the camera with 2 words, "You're welcome." That pissed off Humberto Carrillo, who wanted to fight, and that's what he got with Murphy, even though Murphy takes on Alistair Black later in the show. Murphy got the win, and Humberto was about to get another Messiah-sanctioned beatdown, but Alistair Black chased them off. After a brief video of Liv Morgan talking about her mother and her determination that she learned, she also carries after her match with Charlotte. The Queen herself came out and laughed a bit about Bayley and Sasha and called Ruby Riott out to go ahead and say whatever she's got to say. Charlotte defeated Ruby with a figure 8 as a message to Bayley, and maybe even a literal message to Liv, because during the match Charlotte looked at the camera and said, "Hi, Liv." Probably qualifies as a message. Kairi Sane threw a most entertaining celebration for Asuka becoming Raw Women's Champion, and her now becoming a Grand Slam champion who has won the Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and Women's Tag titles, on top of her also being a Miss Money in the Bank and the winner of the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. Nia Jax interrupted and said the real celebration will be when she becomes champion, and Asuka promptly attacked her out of the ring. R-Truth got the full Nelson submission, or as Truth said, Nelson from The Simpsons, from Bobby Lashley. In a promo before that, Truth said he's going to do to Lashley what he plans on doing to Tom Brady to get his baby back. Let's hope not, otherwise the 24/7 championship is staying in the NFL. Bliss Cross Applesauce defeated the Iconics by disqualification to retain their women's tag team championship when Peyton Royce couldn't stop slamming Alexa's shoulder into the post. Afterwards, they were freaking about it backstage, the Iconics were, and then Billie Kay slapped Peyton in the face, and then was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I love you," and they hugged it out. Nia Jax attacked Kairi Sane from behind while Kairi was trying to practice her recorder. I guess the Kabuki Warriors are definitely on the face side of things now. Nia ended up getting a kick to the head and a bunch of angry Japanese yelling courtesy of Asuka. Shayna Baszler defeated Natalya in a submission match with her Kirifuda clutch, and Natalya was still in the ring when they were setting up for the KO show, and she chucked the chairs and signs out of the ring a week after she threw a tantrum after she lost to Baszler then. Kevin Owens returned for his talk show, the KO show, and had Zelina Vega and her bickering faction as the guests, and after a while he revealed his other guest, Apollo Crews, who wasn't done with Andrade and those dudes. We went into a tag match of KO and Apollo versus Andrade and Angel Garza, and after Austin Theory accidentally hit Angel in the face, Apollo hit him with a powerbomb and got the win. Afterwards, Andrade and Angel attacked Theory, and Zelina officially cut ties with him. The Street Profits and Viking Raiders had an axe-throwing competition, and of course the Vikings did it wonderfully, but Montez Ford way overshot their target and the field behind it, and Angelo Dawkins threw it into a barrel and started leaking either water or some sort of booze. Dawkins said, "Fam, this ain't nothing like Thor." Yes, but I still approve. That was just practice, and the real competition had the Viking Raiders win 10-1, and then some cops pulled up, and turns out that the one that Dawkins threw way out there found its way into their windshield. The cops decided to let him go after the woman cop thought Ivar was cute, after they made them do another axe-throwing competition to see as obvious proof that this is the person that threw the hatchet into the car. Go figure. But yeah, she thought Ivar was cute, Eric not so much. Alrighty then. Alistair Black versus Murphy was next, and it might have been another classic between these two, but while they were fighting, Seth was recruiting a reeling Austin Theory into his group, and Theory officially became a disciple when he attacked Black and ended the match. Seth then embraced Theory, and Murphy was looking on, perhaps a bit suspicious or envious. Finally, we had Drew McIntyre versus King Corbin, and once they got to the ring, Bobby Lashley showed up with MVP to watch. The whole gang was here reunited for the first time since they failed to break the Shield last year. Drew sent Corbin to Claymore Country and then had a stare down with Lashley, with MVP pointing to his watch and Drew basically yelling that the WWE Universe has been waiting for Lashley to step up and be the killer he is, and Drew really wants this. And Lashley was like, "I'm going to pry it from your cold dead hands." Now, we're talking about potential murder here, which obviously won't be the case because Drew's not going to be a victim. Drew vanquished one ghost of his past, and he's ready for the next.
Did you ever wonder why there are 24-hour kid networks? In my book, The Best Saturdays of Our Lives, I write about how Saturday morning became a competitive business and the proving ground for what would become the 24-hour kid network. My book covers the big bang of the 1960s explosion of high ratings to the early digital age of Saturday morning's last hurrah, the 1990s. You can purchase my book by going to thebestsaturdaysofourlives.com, and I will ship you a signed copy.
On Impact, Ace Austin replaced Ken Shamrock in the May Madness tournament and got the win over Rhino in the first round thanks to his cane and the refs turned back. Crazy Steve defeated Dave Christ while being observed by Joseph P. Ryan. Then after the match, Madman Fulton went aggro on the Christ brothers and quit OVE. John E. Bravo is hanging out at the same restaurant that Rosemary seems to be hanging out at all the time because Taya Valkyrie is nowhere to be found, and Rosemary creeped him out with her demonic charm. Ooh. TJP and Falaba defeated Triple XL. Moose defeated Suicide in a rematch to retain his TNA Heavyweight Championship by countering Suicide's top rope crossbody into a pin. Willie Mack defeated Johnny Swinger to retain the X Division Championship, and then was attacked by Swinger and his new friend Chris Bay, who told him beforehand that there's more than one way to win. The North were taking the week off when Cody Deaner challenged them to defend their tag titles in 1 week at the Deaner compound. His cousin is still in America, but he'll choose another relative to be his tag partner, apparently. In the final first round match, Michael Elgin defeated Sami Callihan and will face Trey in the next round.
Hello. Have you ever wondered how much Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster sold Superman's rights to DC for? Or which popular football star was the Sam Wilson the Falcons' physical appearance based on? You can find all that and more at the History of Comic Books podcast, a podcast dedicated to the creators, events, history, and the companies that made the great comic book medium. Hosted and created by your friendly neighborhood JT Wheatley. Please give it a listen at iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, and all our podcasting platforms. Thank you, and go ahead and enjoy yourself a good comic book.
On NXT, we hit the ground running with Karrion Kross and Scarlett in their amazing entrance, and Kross submitted Liam, does it even matter anymore, with the Kross jacket. Then Tommaso Ciampa came out to introduce himself and set their match for TakeOver in Your House on June 7th. El Hijo del Fantasma defeated Akira Tozawa to win Group B and punch his ticket to the NXT Interim Cruiserweight Championship match. Timothy Thatcher laid down the challenge to Matt Riddle for a match with no pinfalls, just knockout or tap out. So a regular MMA match then. He told Matt to pick the time and place, and somehow I think it'll be in your house. Shotzi Blackheart cut a promo on top of the howitzer she calls the Dirty Blonde and ran over cars in the middle of the field that are supposed to represent the NXT Women's Division. I'm sold. And if you're like one of these people online who are just like being like, that was ridiculous, that was dumb, yeah, that's pro wrestling for you. And if you can't have fun from that, well, we're probably not going to be friends, okay? Also, going back to what I said earlier, don't be an asshole. Mia Yim defeated Santana Garrett, and then Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae came out to troll Mia about her losing to Charlotte Flair a few weeks ago, as people like Johnny and Candice are wont to do. And then they tried to get the jump on her, but Keith Lee came out and chased them off like the trolls they are. Roderick Strong defeated Dexter Lumis, and after Roddy got out of the ring, Lumis slithered up and got his head and arm in a hold together. Adam Cole and Bobby Fish tried kicking Lumis and anything to get him to stop, but Dexter kept going, and Velveteen Dream came to Dexter's aid and subdued Cole and Fish. Out in the parking lot, El Hijo del Fantasma drove up to Akira Tozawa to thank him for the match, and just as they were about to part, those damn masked men drove up and started wailing on Tozawa until Fantasma chased them off. Told you they wouldn't be far from these men. Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch creamed, Everized, and put their hands behind their backs to mock Imperium. Throw 'em up! Drake Maverick defeated Kushida to go 2-1 in Group A in the Cruiserweight tournament, and because Drake, Kushida, and Jake Atlas have the same records with equal tiebreakers, they will face each other in a triple threat to determine who faces El Hijo del Fantasma in the finals. But this victory was like the people revolting against 2020, and I love it, even if I also do kind of disagree that using this kind of subject matter as either a work or a shoot is, the taste levels aren't great. Matt Riddle versus Timothy Thatcher will actually take place this coming NXT, and it will be a cage fight. Damian Priest is ready to take on Finn Balor at In Your House, where he will turn the name Finn Balor to ash, and the name Damian Priest will live forever. Rhea Ripley versus Io Shirai was the main event, and I was already bummed because this would be a great 20-minute match, bell to bell with no bullshit. But halfway through, Charlotte Flair came out and Io hurricane rodded Rhea into Charlotte, and a few minutes later the match ended with Charlotte hitting Io with a big boot and her spearing Rhea. I smell a triple threat, and it is confirmed that we will in fact get a triple threat of those three at In Your House. Fuck yes. On AEW Dark, Hikaru Shida defeated Danny Jordan. While lining up for a flying knee, Shida took the time to remind us to stay home and stay safe. Hashtag definitely my champion. QT Marshall defeated Clutch Adams. Marco Stunt defeated Jason Cade. Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian defeated Musa and Lee Johnson. Ray Phoenix defeated Sean Dean. Luther defeated John Cruz. Private Party defeated Ryan Rembrandt and Mike Reed. Sammy Guevara defeated Alan Angels. And Darby Allin defeated Serpentico. I probably pronounced that wrong, but I'll get it right eventually. On Dynamite, the inner circle arrived in a limo and called Alex Marvez a nincompoop, and these guys just continue to just keep cranking out that gold. I love it. Brody Lee made 10 kneel and show off the AEW title he stole from Jon Moxley to send a message. Then Mox defeated 10 with a paradigm shift, pile driver, and another paradigm shift, and broke 10's arm with a couple of chairs to send a message of his own. MJF defeated Marco Stunt ahead of his Double or Nothing match with Jungle Boy, then gave Marco a big kiss with his fist with a dynamite ring cherry on top. He punched him in the face, is what I'm saying here. The mentors of Cody and Lance Archer, Arn Anderson and Jake the Snake Roberts, sat down across from each other in the ring and traded barbs and talked about the TNT Championship and very nearly came to blows. So, a contract signing, basically. History would have been made because as long as those two have been in the business, and they've never actually had a match against each other. Ray Phoenix defeated Orange Cassidy thanks to a low blow, and Kip Sabian on a ladder distraction, and it erupted into a brawl among the casino ladder match contestants with lots of guys diving into the pile of guys ringside, one of them being Ray Phoenix, who ended up getting injured, and Joey Janela will replace him at the casino ladder match at Double or Nothing. The tag match between Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander versus Nyla Rose and Britt Baker ended with Nyla beast-bombing Shida and getting the win, then Nyla about to put Shida through a table, but Statlander gave Shida enough time to recover and superplexed Nyla through the table. Sean Spears has a new news segment called Sean Spears News Network or something. I don't know, but it looks a lot like the YouTube channel Kayfabe News, which you should definitely watch. It's hilarious. And he reported, quote-unquote, Dustin Rhodes has retired due to the injuries Lance Archer put on him. Then Spears was griping about not having a match at Double or Nothing despite being on the verge of cracking the top 5 in singles competition. He then booked himself against Dustin Rhodes. How do you get booked against someone who is retired? Oh, wait. I remember what sport I'm talking about. Spears vs. Rhodes is official for Double or Nothing. After Matt Hardy defeated Sammy Guevara in the main event, the Jumbotron showed the inner circle on the football field about to hit Kenny Omega with Floyd the baseball bat. Kenny got a hit in the gut, and before they could do anything serious, the Young Bucks showed up. Haven't seen them in about 2 months. Then Hardy joined the fray, and when it looked like the inner circle were getting the upper hand, Hangman Page ran from all the way across the field to help. Haven't seen him in like 2.5 months. They chased off the inner circle, and the camera backed away to show them standing in the end zone that had the Elite logo on it, with their logo also on the Jumbotron. On NXT UK, this episode was the most brilliant matches, which sort of had a connecting thread, because the first was Toni Storm retaining her NXT UK Women's Championship against Jinny in April 2019, someone who she knew very well from the independents, and knew her very well. They knew each other, basically, which wouldn't be the last time, much to Tony's downfall. Then we had Piper Niven defeating Rhea Ripley at the NXT UK tapings at Download Festival that summer, after weeks of them feuding over who is the most dominant woman in NXT UK. Rhea lost, but I think she recovered rather well. Then we skip forward all the way to TakeOver Blackpool 2 back in January after Kaylee Ray beat Toni Storm back in Cardiff, which led Storm to go on hiatus. And then she came back, and Piper Niven was after it too, and she wanted her two best friends back as well. So it resulted in a triple threat in Blackpool, where Piper saved Tony's career by not letting her neck get crushed by a chair, and a temporary alliance against Kaylee Ray. But alas, Tony hit the last Storm Zero on Piper. Ray super kicks Tony out of her way, then pins Piper, and that whole friendship just goes further up in smoke.
You have 30 seconds to describe Thunder Talk.
It's pop culture.
With a twist.
It's music.
LGBTQ+.
And comedy.
Well, dark comedy.
It's nerd junk.
It's comic books.
Video games.
Conventions.
Yeah, nerd junk.
And social commentary.
It's woke, yo.
Yeah, and nerd junk.
Woke nerd junk.
Thunder Talk is all over the place.
Every place you want to be.
Thunder Talk is a proud member of the ESO Network. Find us at thundertalk.org and download us on all podcast platforms.
On SmackDown, Miz and Morrison kicked off the dirt sheet making fun of Otis and Braun Strowman and showing rejected Firefly Funhouse puppets, making the point that Bray Wyatt chose to hang out with puppets because he didn't want to hang out with Braun anymore. Braun came out and wanted to laugh about Bray Wyatt some more, and Miz and Morrison were actually serious when they said, Bray is far from done with you. Then John Morrison challenged Braun to a match with Miz. And of course, once Braun said challenge accepted, Miz said, damn it. Miz got pulverized, obviously, and Morrison challenged Braun to a 2-on-1 handicap match at Backlash for the Universal Championship, and Braun accepted. AJ Styles is officially traded back to SmackDown. It was nice having him on Raw for the past year, but I guess he did sort of run his course there. He took on Shinsuke Nakamura in the first round of the Intercontinental Championship tournament and came out victorious, and it was a hard-fought one for him too, as he had to use Calf Crusher, Styles Clash, and 2 attempts at a phenomenal forearm to win. Of course, the second attempt was successful. Bayley actually defeated Charlotte Flair in the champion versus champion match thanks to a roll-up and holding onto the ropes to maintain balance, and Bayley did it without Sasha in her corner. Charlotte didn't look defeated or distraught in any way, though. And why would she? She's the queen. The mixed tag team match between Otis and Mandy Rose versus Sonja Deville and Dolph Ziggler ended with Sonja hitting Mandy in the back of the head with a flying knee, while Dolph was holding Otis back on the ramp. They were brawling on, and Sonja getting the 1-2-3. And then while Otis was checking on Mandy afterwards, Dolph came back up and hit Otis square in the face with a super kick. The first round of the IC title tournament closed out with an arguably stunning upset when Jeff Hardy got the win over Sheamus with a surprise roll-up after Sheamus dominated almost the whole match. He'll go on to face Daniel Bryan in the semifinals. I'm not 100% on this, but I think the semifinals are nothing but baby faces, as this Smackdown trade in his pants being like blue, teal, whatever, and black with P1 and no OC gear might mean AJ did a face turn, but I'm not totally sure. Could be wrong, but we'll see. I'll tune in the coming Fridays and let you know. On 205 Live, it started off with a replay from NXT of Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch defeating Everrise. Wait, what's that? This wasn't a replay, but a rematch? But it ended the exact same way as Wednesday night. Burch having one of them in a LaBelle-looking lock, and Lorcan having the other in a single-leg Boston Crab. That's just how they book these things? What on earth is going on here? But what the hell? I was entertained. Next was Tyler Breeze taking on Isaiah Swerve Scott, and after last week when Jack Gallagher beat Swerve thanks to Tony Nese's help, Swerve had anything but confidence and was looking visibly shaken still. His confidence was so low, he is pretty much like me at a party. And he even slipped off the middle turnbuckle and couldn't even hit the house call right. Things were looking dire for Scott, and Breeze was getting in so much offense, but Isaiah got hit especially hard halfway through, and that definitely got him loose again and unleashed the confident beast, and we had a match. Swerve hit him with a confidence booster, that's actually the name of a move, and got the win. Afterwards, Swerve went up to Breeze and said, "Thank you, I needed that." Now that is storytelling, people. And then on Saturday night, it was the second ever Double or Nothing, which is the sequel to the very first AEW pay-per-view that got all this craziness started off. And on the buy-in pre-show, Best Friends defeated Private Party to maintain number one contender status for the AEW tag titles. The main show started with the casino ladder match to get the big old poker chip in the sky to be number one contender for the world title, and the contestants came out in intervals Royal Rumble style. The order of contestants were Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky, both of SCU, Kip Sabian, who had Jimmy Havoc helping him because this is no disqualification, Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, who was very bummed that he had to climb a ladder to win and even tried reaching up to get it from the ring, because that definitely would have worked. Colt Cabana, who was very amused by Cassidy's antics. Joey Janela, who replaced Rey Fenix. Luchasaurus, and the surprise entrant was Brian Cage, who was until recently with Impact and was Impact World Champion, in fact. The others buried Cage under some ladders and a big-ass poker chip, but he got out, and we got some of Luchasaurus versus Brian Cage, which I didn't know I needed, but I definitely did. Then we wrecked Darby Allin at the instruction of his new manager, Taz, who has been trying to coach Allin the last few weeks, but kept getting turned down, and he finally got the chip and became number one contender. Not bad for a debut. MJF defeated Jungle Boy, and surprisingly it was without Wardlow, but an eye raking and a surprise roll-up may or may not have been involved. The TNT Championship match was fantastic start to finish, with Mike Tyson presenting the TNT title at the beginning, and man, I want to get a replica belt of it, and it's not even finished. Apparently, due to virus stuff, the gold plating hasn't been installed yet, but I still like it. Big Swole was in the crowd and talking so much shit to Lance Archer, and I'm looking forward to that feud. It was hard fought, and the second or third time Jake the Snake had the ref distracted, Arn Anderson made Lance Archer slip off the corner. And then something that doesn't usually happen when this happens actually happened, and I'm just like, alrighty. But another ref came out to inform the main ref what Arn did, so both Arn and Jake got kicked out. And then Jake came back with the bag that has his snake, and Mike Tyson stood in his way and scared him off, so he went back to the back. Cody hit Lance with 2 crossroads and became the first TNT champion. Chris Statlander defeated Penelope Ford, who replaces Britt Baker due to an injury suffered on this past Dynamite. Penelope was kind of banged up herself from the ladder match, and Kip Sabian came out to quote-unquote help her on crutches. Maybe Colt Cabana did have a point that she could do better in her own division if she wasn't scheming to help her fiancé all the time. Shawn Spears came out to the ring, not expecting Dustin Rhodes to actually show for their match, so once the ref started the count, Brandy Rhodes came out to distract Spears while Dustin got at him from behind and stripped him down to his boxers that has Tully Blanchard's head printed on it, and at one point even had his boxers down a little bit and was smacking him on the ass. It was interesting to say the least. And finally Dustin got him with the Reckoning and the 1-2-3. And then, Hikaru Shida defeated Nyla Rose to become new AEW Women's Champion. She did so despite going through a blackjack table and a regular table, but this is awesome. She has probably the second most awesome theme in AEW, in my opinion, right after the next guy, Jon Moxley, and Mr. Brody Lee. And they had a super physical and brutal match for the AEW Championship. And the climax of it was Mox hitting Brody with a paradigm shift, and both men went through the ramp. Mox retained his title and physically actually got it once he put Brody Lee in a sleeper, and he just went. So on to the Stadium Stampede match. Well, the Elite won, first of all, and there was so much going on here, from Matt Hardy changing personas in the Jaguars pool, to Hangman Page coming in on a real horse and fighting Jake Hager in the Stadium Bar, to Chris Jericho throwing the challenge flag to challenge a 2 count, to Matt Jackson suplexing Sammy Guevara the full 100 yards, then getting flagged for excessive celebration, so he super kicked the ref, to the Jags mascot getting hit with the Judas effect, and Sammy Guevara waking up thinking he won, but getting stared down and chased by Matt Hardy and Kenny Omega in a cart yet again. Holy shit, this was brilliant, and not just by the standards of things that have happened in the Jaguars stadium. I seriously want to actually kind of visit this place. This was so good. You must see it. And that's the 1, 2, 3. Thanks for locking up with me in the Ring of Thunder. Be nice to people, and be nice to yourself. You are a human being who still deserves good things. And also, always remember, kick butts, not nuts.